Hello, everybody. Welcome to New Earth Rising, where we talk about all kinds of stuff. And we got some fun stuff we're talking about today. We're taking a little bit of a left turn, and we're going to talk about some things going to be really, really interesting with you guys because it's related to what we're putting into our bodies. It's related to how we're treating our bodies. We're not giving nutrition advice, but we're talking about things that we know. And so this is going to be kind of fun. And as always, we're going to veer off into the weeds because that's just how Sharon and I go. So I am Michele Ambergy. I am the Awakener, one of many. And I'm super happy to be here. And of course, Sharon, my co-shenanigator, is here too. We get to do this together. It's super fun. And Sharon, I love your background there. It's so sparkly and fun.
Yeah,
So
isn't that
happy to be
pretty?
here with you. What's up, sister?
Me too, Michelle. I know. I can't wait for us to get together every week. It's definitely the highlight of my week. Yeah,
Me
I know.
too. Totally.
Good. The background is pretty cool, isn't it? I don't know where it is, but it's beautiful. Um, Kind of makes me think of our trips on the ships when we go out there. You know, the galactic part of us.
When we get to the other edge of that wormhole, right?
Yeah, totally. Yes. Yeah. Well, hello everyone. I'm Sharon Sanana Kumara. Thank you for being here once more, hopefully. And we have a fun topic today that we were both kind of thinking about funny. And well, it shouldn't even surprise us anymore that we think about similar things,
Right.
right, during a day and on the same day a lot. So yeah, it's about as we move up in frequency, how our bodies change and our taste change and things like that, and how we can get through that with
Yeah.
as much ease as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is. And so many of us are shifting and changing right now, with so much energy coming from the sun. It's really helping to do the upgrades. We use so many different, words, so much different terminology, but we really are upgrading. Our DNA is healing, our bodies are healing, our minds, our souls are healing. And with that comes a shift in what you want to eat, what you want to consume.
Mhm.
And I know, and Sharon and I were just talking about, I used to be a totally raw food person and did great for a while until it stopped working for me and I started getting sick. Now, there's usually multiple reasons for that. And when I went back and looked at it, there were a few things that were going on. And that was the early days of juicing. And it was like, I made a few mistakes. Um, but there's such a big controversy about meat or no meat. Should you eat meat? Should there be no meat? And a lot of people don't eat meat. They don't want to eat meat. And, nothing wrong with that. One of the things that kind of comes into play with all that is a lot of times there's guilt around eating meat because of some of that that's out there too. And I know I want to be a vegetarian, but my body needs the meat. And I'm healthier and stronger and more balanced when I eat meat. And that includes red meat, which is like, oh, I do. I eat a steak every once in a while. My body craves it. And, we wanted to talk about that. We wanted to talk about the different aspects and what goes on. And as we, rise in our frequencies and begin moving through this third dimensional, density, this first density, third dimension into the higher densities, what's going to happen. And we don't know, but we kind of want to talk about it, kind of
Mhm.
want to bang some ideas around and find out what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Find out what you guys think too. We always want to see those comments,
Hmm.
after you guys have watched that. That makes this interesting for us too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier today, I was thinking about when we've talked about, well, this is the New Earth channel. So moving into 5D or the higher frequencies as we're shifting. And these questions were coming up in my mind, and I've heard these before from people too. If we're in 5D and in the higher planes, in our physical dimension, physical dimension, are we still going to be eating animals?
Right.
And so and as I'm thinking about this, I ask guidance. Okay, what does that entail when we move up in frequency and as populations move up? And this happened to me 20 years ago, and I believe this is really good information for what's going on now.
It's 4:44.
Of course. That as we move up in frequency, what first thing I got that would happen is going to happen in the higher planes and is happening in the higher planes is that if anyone wants to eat an animal flesh, wants to eat animals, let's say it like that, makes it sound awful, but
I know.
right, yeah. If anyone wants to continue to eat meat or is attracted to meat or their body does better on meat, then it in the higher planes, the animals are not slaughtered are not how do I put it, are not tortured. It's not tortured meat.
Yeah, and they're raised.
So that's something, right? And that's something that we have to get to as we move up in frequency, to that space of not torturing animals, and where it's not something that is such big business, where it's all about profits and not caring about the animals themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I was getting, and that's the first step. And then as you're eating, as we're putting higher frequency food into our body, and Michele was talking about blessing, especially animals that we eat now or anytime, and we should always bless our food anyway.
Yeah.
As we put high frequency food into our bodies, then our body stays at those high frequencies, and we keep moving up and up and up. And for me anyway, I got to where I'm not attracted to meat anymore. And that's what happened 20 years ago when I started fasting and became open, so open. It's like, whoa, I'm too open. But my sister, she's on she went on a carnivore diet because she was having really problems with some health issues and arthritis in her hands and things like that. And she's younger than me, but she was just not feeling good, no energy. And so her naturopath actually put her on a carnivore diet, and told her, hey, try this, because her naturopath is a carnivore, but she's clean meat.
That makes the difference.
Yeah. And she feels so much better. What was wrong with her hands went away.
Yeah.
She has energy. She lost weight. She's just feels a lot better. Feels really good. Also, she doesn't get cravings like she was having before, the carbs, the sugars, or whatever.
Yep.
And she was eating a lot of salad. She was always eating salad. So I went, she's like, I eat healthy. I'm eating salads, and I love salads. So I was eating salads a lot. And so, not that I was having any health issues, but I'm like, okay, well, I will say that I was telling Michele that after I eat salads, I was getting to where I always have when I eat a salad, I'd have a stomach ache.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but this is supposed to be so good for me.
Right. This is healthy. This is healthy pain. It's a healthy stomach ache.
Right. So I heard about, and I did some research on vegetables, and especially leafy greens, and leafy greens can cause, gas and stomach aches and things like that. And so I cut out leafy greens and I eat cucumbers, for me, cucumbers and what's in season at the time.
Yeah.
And zucchini. So that's what I'm eating now. And then, it'll change as the seasons go. But I found that our bodies need to be able to process foods that are in season.
Yeah.
And not eating the same thing all the time, because that's what our ancestors did.
Yeah, you eat what's available,
Mhm.
what's
Mhm.
in season. Yeah, I had a very similar kind of thing. And if you think back in history, the cultures that really did good were the ones that ate meat. And there was a little meme that I saw where it says, it cracked me up. It's like, we don't see cave drawings of salads. We see cave drawings of them hunting deer and
Mhm.
elk and moose, whatever. We don't see cave drawings of salads. And I thought that that's really interesting. What a great insight, whoever came up to that. And if you're watching this, kudos, good point.
Yeah.
Because what brought strength, and even like the warriors, they used to go to war and they needed strength, it was always meat.
Yeah.
They weren't like, oh, here's a salad, it'll bring your strength back. It's like, here's the heart of a deer.
Mhm.
I've got a lot of Native American blood in me, and that's what kept them going. They lived on the buffalo,
Mhm.
and they followed the buffalo everywhere they went. And, so we got to look at that. But I think your point, Sharon, is it's what we do with the animals now when we're mass producing
Yeah.
and they're not treated well, and they're kept, in tiny little stalls, and they're pumped full of shots and antibiotics and anti-hormones and anti-parasites, and they're just toxic.
Yeah.
And then they're just the way they're even, slaughtered and stuff, and mass slaughtering, and just, it's not what you want in your animal. Um,
And you're
and you
putting that
don't
in your
want for that.
body. You're
Yeah,
putting
right. You
all
don't
that
want it in your
energy,
body.
all that trauma in your
Mhm.
body.
Well, and you know what? I'm having a very interesting thought about that while you were saying that before, and this might get us kicked off of YouTube now. But
We haven't been
it's
kicked off
how
yet.
I know we're failing in our
And we're-
purpose. So I'm going to see if I can remedy that right now.
Okay, good. All right.
We're all treated torturously, right?
Yeah.
And so that same, ooh, I'm getting chills. That same consciousness that are not the farmers and the ranchers,
No.
but the ones that oversee all this stuff. It's the same thing. It's just torture of everything, of the planet, of the animals, of us. There's no peace, and we need to shift that consciousness to, oh,
Yeah, to
I'm getting this
honor.
full like energy coming in
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
it's all about honoring life and
Honor.
honoring and honoring the animal and honoring what Mother Earth has to provide for us,
Yeah.
right?
And that is part of it, and I know in the Bible, which every word of it's true, they talk about,
Depends on how you look at it.
yeah, it's all true.
Yeah.
We, we're told that, we have the dominion over the plants and the animals. And it doesn't mean dominion, oh, I am power over you. Dominion actually means stewardship, right? It actually means you have stewardship. You are there to care for it. It's part
Mhm.
of human, purpose for being here, is to care for this beautiful planet that we were given by the higher beings, whoever they are, us. It's all part of
So
us and who we are.
so does it says that in the Old Testament, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's my
I believe so.
understanding, and I totally believe this. And I think that's we were talking about this when my computer went out last week, or was it last week? Week before, I can't remember. Um, that Enlil, there's some thoughts there, theory that Enlil actually, the bad Anunnaki, well, the one who really wanted us to be slaves, who bred changed our DNA to be slaves, and to where we couldn't live more than 120 years old. That was the top
Right.
age.
Yep.
That he was the actual God in the Old Testament, the judgmental God, the one who says,
Vengeful and
the
jealous.
venge, yeah, and you can keep slaves, and you can rape your wife or whatever, things like that. You can kill for good reason, as
Yeah.
long as I allow you to kill, and you can and go kill this and give me sacrifice. That doesn't sound like a loving God, even though it says in the beginning that it's, that God is all omnipotent and
Yeah.
omnipresent and all
Well,
loving.
I think we've had a few gods through the Old Testament. I think a few gods came in and
Yeah.
told us, it may have started out because the original creation is love.
Yeah.
So the first 4 paragraphs of the Bible are true.
Yeah. Right. But, right. Yeah. So they did good there. But then,
And it's
then
stories, it's part of our
Enlil,
history.
huh?
It's part of our history. It's just got all mushed up, right?
Right. And we don't know our true history. That's the
Mm-mm.
problem. That's why we've been
No.
enslaved. We don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know about it's been kept from us.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
All of who we are and what we are and our history has been kept from us, but it's coming out now. And
In so
finally,
many different ways.
yeah.
A matter of fact, you were just talking about a book that you were reading by Ilana Danan
Elena
that
Denon,
talks
yeah.
about that.
Oh, her books are amazing. This is her newest book, The Cedars, Elena Denon, and I can't wait till we talk about that more. It's 500 pages long,
Mm,
583 pages. At about 200, but yeah, it's highly
so good.
recommend it.
And I've
She's
been studying the Keylontic science, which is Ishana Dean. And shout out to, Ishana and also Ireland Clark and Christos Avatar that I've been studying with. And not that they have classes, but they've got stuff out there in the books, massive amount of books. And she started bringing this stuff like out in like the 1980s, 1990s. That's the history. And it's the same stuff that Elena is doing too. It's like, it's like,
right.
it's finally starting to come out, and we've been around for a long time, and we are created in the image of God, the
Mhm.
real God, the real original God, and we come down through this. What is kind of cool with what I'm studying is the royal bloodline.
Yeah.
It's like we all have that in our DNA, and that junk DNA isn't junk at all. It is our connection to
It's been,
Enki,
it's been turned on.
Enlil,
Yeah.
but
And they'll
Enki, the good God.
right. The good
Good
dude,
God.
the good he calls himself, and he's father. He's the one who
Mhm.
um would be he created us from there were beings on the planet according to the story, and they came to the planet for gold. This was the Garden of Eden. Earth was the Garden of Eden. um
Beautiful.
yeah. And it was tropical. It was a beautiful planet, and they found gold here. And the Anunnaki, this Anunnaki, and so they got tired of mining it themselves. So they decided to take some of the uh, inhabitants on the planet, the locals, the on the
Locals.
planet, and um, use them and change their DNA to be a slave race, so that they
Yeah.
would continue to be laborers for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Enki, who's the scientist, wanted to be able to let humanity, or the people on the planet, evolve, and Enlil didn't want that. He
Yeah.
just wanted them
No.
to, us to be complete slaves for all of eternity or whatever. And
And then that's a really long time, dude.
isn't it?
It's like, come
And
on.
how many minerals do you can't keep mining a planet and expect it to last forever. um but I want to say one thing, it went right out of my head about Enki. um oh, they fought a war
Mhm.
over it. Enlil and Enki, they were half brothers. They fought a war
Yep.
over humanity, over this problem. And Enki lost, and he left. He had to leave.
Yep.
And Enlil has been ruling the planet ever since. But
Yeah.
I understand that he left and left his minions in charge.
We're still fighting them.
Yeah. Well, we're winning.
We
We're
are.
finally winning.
But
But
it's interesting.
Earth was named after, according to the story, Ea, because he is Prince
Mhm.
Enki is Prince Ea. Ea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And, and throughout with the studies that I'm doing, it's about the 900,000 year history of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it talks about, all the different galactic things, and that we're not just one product. We're the product of many, many seedings. When I saw that book, I was like, ooh, many, many different seedings from many different cultures. And, we're connected to aquatic planets,
Yeah.
and you say that you're so connected, to that and feel that connection, that mermaid connection, which is, and these, bipedal dolphin beings. And, we're connected to the archangels. We're connected to because all of these entities and all of these creations are all connected together. We are all one. And it's so good because we're all part of this royal lineage. And that's part of what's been kept from us, from the little crowd, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we start remembering the codes and the memories open the codes, begins to heal the DNA.
Right.
And we gain our power, our strength, our memory back, and we then begin to evolve, and
Right.
we can then begin to ascend. And it's happening because of information like like what Elena Danon's bringing out, and what Aishana's bringing out, or has
Mm-hmm.
brought out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more and more people are talking about it. And it's like, and people hear this, and a lot of times people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. But then you hear it the second time, and then you hear it the third time, and all of a sudden it's like, this is kind of, it's drawing me, it's pulling me a little bit. And it's time for us to realize, that we aren't a meat suit carrying around a spirit, that we are truly God beings.
Mm-hmm.
We are that royalty, and the indigos and the star seeds and all these beings that are here right now are coming in to do this. It's you and I both are indigos for sure,
Mm-hmm.
Sharon, and hold that frequency. And it's in the DNA, and it's in the frequency fields
Yeah.
of what we are, and it's all those super high beings. It's all those, 13, 14, 15 dimensional energies that we have in us,
Right.
that is part of our creation. It's part of the seeding. But
Right.
there's one thing that I refuse is monkeys on nothing. Monkeys and spiders. Spider monkeys, the worst on the planet.
You don't like monkeys?
No, they freak me out.
Mm. Mm.
They
Okay.
freak me out. I had that dream the other night when King Kong came in,
Oh
and
yeah. Well, he's not a monkey.
well, monkey apes are all monkey-like creatures.
Okay.
Ah, I can't take it. Imagine my horror when I heard about spider monkeys. I mean, seriously.
Maybe in a past life you were killed by a orangutan or something,
It
or
could have
a
been. It could have
gorilla
been.
or a monkey. Okay.
Good point.
Chimpanzees are very strong.
They are.
Very strong. Maybe you were running through a jungle and got killed by a chimpanzee.
Or maybe I was turned into a chimpanzee by Enlil, and I was really freaked out that all of a sudden I looked down, I'm covered with hair and long ass arms, and imagine.
He was human like us. He didn't have magic powers. He's
We
human.
don't know that, Sharon.
Yeah,
We don't know
yes,
that
we
for
do.
sure.
Yes, we do. They were just more advanced. And we had all this technology
Yeah.
way back when, Atlantis, and and after we had this technology in Egypt, but
Oh yeah,
we've
Lemuria.
yeah, and when we went from Atlantis to ancient Egypt, the people who survived went from, like
Mhm.
Thoth, uh, we had all this technology.
Yeah,
So we've gone backwards.
yeah,
It's been,
totally.
yeah,
Well, and we know there was some kind of a reset in the 1800s.
right.
because, we're all the information coming up about Tartaria and
Yeah.
these really advanced, beautiful buildings that were built that we can't even build today,
Yeah.
and Tesla's,
And they were
technology.
power centers. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Totally.
yeah, and there's also, I'm not sure where I read it. I've been so in the Keylontic stuff. I'm sure it was somewhere in there that all of the pyramids and even cathedrals and stuff like that were built particular ways, that resonated energy were holding this beautiful frequency on this planet for our health and well-being.
Yeah. They weren't meant to be churches.
Mm-mm.
They were power stations.
Mhm. And when all that was cut off, and it's not been that long ago, they started taking the bells out of the churches. They started changing the inner sanctum,
Mhm.
right? They started taking
Took
pillars
the
down.
domes
They started
down.
putting different things down.
And just like
And
those castles that those ancient castles that people took over, that royals took over, like in England and stuff like that,
yep,
those were also built for as power stations.
yep,
And you'll notice that a lot of those power stations are built near water.
yep.
That and there's some in Oregon I noticed in
Yeah, they're
certain
all
towns,
over.
yeah, that have the spire and the dome, and people are using them now as houses, but they were built in those
Mhm.
areas, those small areas, for as a power station.
Yeah. And we were healthier. And it's been, it's not been that long ago.
Mm.
There was some kind of reset that happened, and so many of those buildings were taken down and changed, in the 1800s.
Yeah,
And
I've
it
heard
just
there's,
makes you wonder.
I know, right? I've heard there's been a few resets
Mm,
on our planet. Yeah, so that, and they're trying to do another one, the Great Reset.
the great one. I wonder how many of
I
the
know,
past ones were
duh. Yeah.
these and Leolettes were calling, the Great Reset. Again? Are they all great? What's the deal, dudes?
Well, I guess when we get a little out of hand, and that's what he used to do. That's what Enlil used to do. And because and that's when he decided, okay, I have to do something here to um to keep these people from waking up,
Yeah.
because people would get out, they didn't like being a slave anymore. We didn't like being slaves anymore. We'd start waking up. We'd start yeah, or fighting um
Yeah.
amongst each other, or fighting the slave masters, whatever you want to call them. And Enlil would, this is what I hear, and it makes so much sense to me. Enlil would say, go send, his goons in there and kill them,
Yeah.
or else to release a plague, or, or cause
Flood
a
the
flood,
planet.
or cause a flood. Yeah, because they had that technology. It wasn't magic, it was technology, just like we have now.
It looked like magic back then.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why they called
So,
them gods. And the Tower of Babel thing too.
yeah.
They were all starting to work together. They were all getting along. Everybody spoke the language, and with his magic wand,
Mm-hmm.
and gave everybody different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Yeah.
we could no longer communicate. And when you start hearing this and you start seeing these cycles, right? And it's fascinating. And one thing I got to give humanity, we keep coming back. We keep trying. We are so freaking amazing.
We're pretty stubborn.
It's like, and I
We
know
are, we're
that we're
warriors.
called to work through this to finally get out of this wheel of karma, get out of this space that we are, so we can begin to evolve,
Yeah.
that we can begin to join again the Federation of Worlds, the return back to the Guardians. I think that's kind of what Shayana calls that Federation of Worlds thing, is the Guardians, because
Mm-hmm.
we're all guardians. A lot of us as guardians, we're all back here to
Mm-hmm.
try to do it again and
Yeah.
bring the information in that we need.
Yeah.
That's why it's so cool to see it popping up everywhere.
Well, that's what she talks about. Elena Denon talks about, and I've felt this for a long time. And I've actually had visions of it that she, a long time ago when all this happened, and that she made the decision to come into the reincarnation cycle, and she has an avatar body on
Yeah.
this, in this other reality, um, that she can, they, that she can, plug her consciousness into again, like Toth talks about, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I've seen that with me. I've seen a body in a sarcophagus type of
Yes,
thing,
me too.
encasement. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Ashayana teaches too, that we have, most of us that are here, we have 1,728, I think, avatar bodies. So other aspects
Wow.
of us, multidimensional cells, however terminologies that we want, because of how each of the levels create 12 replicas of itself. And so it's this whole thing, but it totally makes sense because we do have that. We all have Christ avatar bodies. We all have Rishi avatar bodies. We all have angelic avatar bodies. We all are connected to all of these realms. We're just trapped in this third dimensional first density place, but we can access it as we awaken our consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like you're very awakened consciously, so you can access the avatar body and you know of one, but imagine if you have 1,700 of them, how much more can we access? And that's why it's so important that this information, just this little sprinkling of what if, comes out, that we can have access to that much more, to all these different realms, all these different aspects of who we are.
Yeah.
And maybe is that past life recollection? Is that part of what that is?
Well, this is a little bit different, I think, and what, and also what Toph talks about, and you know about him, is that he actually leaves a physical body,
Hmm.
and that's what
Hmm.
she's talking about, and that's what I felt
Yeah,
was
that's
there
what
was
this is
a
too.
physical body,
Yep.
yeah, in
Yep.
whatever realm that,
Yep.
because there's so many worlds that are physical. We think because
Exactly.
someone's in a higher dimension that they're not physical. They're still just as physical. And I know
Oh
from my
yeah.
astral travels, and I know you do, Michelle, that in the higher realms, it's just as physical, if not more. It feels just as physical, if
Yep.
not more. Yeah.
Angels,
Hmm.
archangels, Christ avatars, Christ, right?
Right.
Our connection to that, it's all there. They have physical bodies. There's a certain level, I think, once you get up into that 14th, 15th, there's no longer the physical body. You just become pure light or pure sound. But yeah, they're actually physical bodies in other dimensions, in other densities, in other dimensions. And
It's just a
we,
different physicality than what we have here in this
yes,
matrix. It's different.
yes,
Yeah.
because it's carbon, it's silica, it's crystal, it's crystalline light. It's very
Right.
different,
Right.
but still that avatar body and a part of our consciousness is still there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the movie Avatar,
Yes.
like that.
Wow. Right. What a great movie
Yeah.
to awaken the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Who did that movie?
Was that
Was
Spielberg?
I think it was the Spielberg.
I think so.
I think it was the Spielberg. And of course, I want to look.
I hear they're
Um,
coming out with another one, I believe, too.
I heard that
Avatar 2.
too.
I saw that movie 3 times at the theater when it came
James
out.
Cameron.
Oh, it was James Cameron. Okay, so I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was so. I mean, that movie was so familiar. It was so familiar to me. I'm like, I know I've been there to that planet. I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but I have ridden those types of beings. I mean, it
And
was
seeing
just
the forest
so
light up
familiar.
with that.
Yes, yes. It was so familiar.
And what's interesting about that too? The mineral that they were going after was called unobtainium.
Oh, I didn't even
Remember
notice
that? It's like
that.
you can't obtain it because it's
Uh-huh.
not a thing. It's a consciousness
Consciousness,
that is what feeds their life, and that tree of
that
life.
tree. Yeah.
And that's why they would need to get rid of the tree, because they thought that unobtainium was under the mother tree. And it's what fed all of life.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant movie. If you guys haven't watched it, you got to go watch it.
You got to see Avatar.
At least 4 times.
At least because it's one of those movies like The Matrix that you have to watch more than once.
Over and over.
Yeah, and just like that Matthew McConaughey movie too that you have to watch. What's the name of that?
Oh, Interstellar?
Interstellar. You got to
Yeah.
watch it a few times for it to really, because there's so much that you miss.
Yes. And also there's another one, the Jodie Foster one,
Contact.
Contact.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good
Absolutely.
one. Totally.
Absolutely. Because we are being given this information, right? We're being given the information. We just have to open our minds to what the real meaning is, to move beyond that it's an entertainment. But it sparks us. We get sprinkled with information and it starts
Soft
awakening
disclosure.
us.
It's soft disclosure is what it's
Soft
called.
I like that. I
Just
like
like
that.
Star Trek and Star Wars, it's
When did those
soft.
movies come out? The 80s, right?
Star Wars? Well, Star Trek was a series, but Star Wars, you mean?
Yeah.
I think it
I never
was.
watched them.
Oh,
I was
I
never into all
do.
that stuff.
Yeah, and there's series that spin-offs on TV now from it. And
Yeah. There weren't enough unicorns and stuff like that in those movies.
that's that would be Avatar or something like that. Yeah. I am obsessed with I shouldn't say obsessed, but very interested in Star Trek, Star Wars, anything that has to do with the galactic wars, because I have memory of the galactic wars. Yeah, I mean Star Trek isn't about galactic wars, but the Star Wars is.
Yeah, intergalactic travel and
Yeah,
all that
I
stuff.
I used to think it was our future, but Star Wars is all about our past, because even says long ago in a distant past.
Yes. And it took us a while to catch on, huh? Right? It was being
Right.
fascinated with it. It took me a while. I didn't watch them then. I've watched them more recently,
Mm-hmm.
but also Stargate,
Stargate's another one. Yeah.
Stargate Atlantis, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was like, what the heck is this nonsense? But now it's like, oh.
Yeah. I was watching it when I wasn't even aware or awake. I just was interested in it because
Yeah.
I'm like, this is really cool. And it feels familiar, but I hadn't woke up, in my personal life, but I was interested in them. And I think a lot of people were like that. And
Yeah.
it took me a little
I
while after the original Star Trek to watch New Generation, the Next Generation.
Yeah, because it was so different. I remember that switch.
Yeah, but
I know in
I got
Stargate I
hooked.
watched it because the guy was cute.
Oh, yeah.
That's where my
Richard
consciousness,
Dean.
Richard Dean Anderson. Yeah.
Richard Dean
That's
Anderson.
where I was at back then.
Well, yeah. But yeah, we were
Whatever
gonna.
gets you there, sister.
I know, right? Hey, whatever gets you to watch it, and that's why they do that, of course. I watched Thor, so I watched the Avenger movies or the uh for Thor. Hello. Why else would we watch it?
An Aquaman.
Oh yeah, and Aquaman. Uh-huh. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the second one, but
Yeah,
when it
no, it
comes
was
out.
a little bit. I was like, I love our buddy Jason there, but as far as
I'm
the
not
movie went,
I'm not a fan of Amber Heard, but hey, that's just me. She's apparently going to be in the second one.
oh, is she?
I guess I don't know.
Oh, is that the one? Is that the one that was on trial?
Johnny Depp's wife, yeah,
Yeah.
ex-wife. Sorry. It's so
Oh,
funny. Before I even knew who she was, I want to get way off track here, but when I
okay, we're
watched it,
allowed to go in the weeds.
we are. When I watched it, um, for Jason Momoa, of course, um, I thought, she, could they get anybody that acts better to play her, to play Mira? I mean, she's not to me she wasn't a very good
Mm-mm.
actress. And then I realized afterwards, when the trial started and everything like that, I realized who she is. I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And it was interesting because the way that movie was filmed and the way the CGI was used, it felt awkward to me.
Well, they didn't have any chemistry. Even the producer
And
apparently
and
said that.
that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
So
mean
it was interesting. It was kind of like,
yeah.
okay, well, the Jason part made it worth it.
They could have done a better job, but with the storyline, I think. But
Yeah.
you know, oh, whatever. We're not.
We're now new Earth Rising movie critic show.
Yes, we are.
I told you we always go off in the weeds. Just go
Yeah.
with us because it's going to be fun.
We're gonna have to start a new channel, New Earth Rising Movie Critic.
I love it.
New Earth Rising Movie Review.
Movie
Movie
review.
review. Yeah.
No Rotten Tomatoes.
And you can take our word for it because
Yeah,
you know
because we
we're
are definitely going to get kickbacks
because
if we're
we're
going to be doing this.
because we're rising. We went way off out in the woods,
Yeah,
weeds
we
from
did.
5D and eating animals, didn't we?
Yes, and back to the eating the animals.
Yes. Full circle.
Super important. And Sharon, you had said this too. That's why it is so important that we bless everything that we eat.
Yes.
Because the other thing is the plants are alive too. Everything has life. Everything has awareness at one level or another.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really important that we honor what we put into our body, that we bless what we put into our body, and honor the spirits of the animals. I know I remember when I was little, and my grandpa would say, thank you, brother rabbit or brother fish or whatever. And there was this honoring, and it was very simple. It was very quick, but it was just that momentary honoring. And then we'd always say blessing at dinner, right? You'd sit down and you say grace, and somebody would always say and bless, the beings who, who's how did my grandparents used to say it? There's something about flesh of flesh, which I always hated that word. But bless the animals and bless the fruits and the vegetables and the hands that created the meal and all that stuff. And
Right.
it's
And
like
there's so
so
much.
beautiful.
And that's what Yeshua taught me a long time ago, when I was going through my quickening, is to bless. And it goes on and on and on. And to think about what it took to bring that meal to you. If bless the animal, bless the bread maker. If you're eating a hamburger, just for example, eating a hamburger, bless the animal, thank the animal. I'm grateful to the animal. I'm grateful to the wheat or the plants that made the bread. I'm grateful to the
Right.
butcher, grateful to whoever, the farmer or rancher who raised the animal, grateful to the packaging people who created the package for the hamburger,
Right.
grateful to the people at the say if you went to whatever, you got the people that worked at the place that prepared the hamburger,
Right.
grateful grateful to the
Right.
people that you know built the building that they live in or they work in. So there's just so much that goes into getting a meal on our table.
Yeah. And it's a good majority of our time and effort in this life, in this incarnation.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you, it's been a while ago, where I hit some kind of weird block where I was just like, I am so over taking care of this friggin' body. So I get up in the morning, got to brush its teeth, got to wash its hair. You got to go to work every day after day to buy the food and bring it home and clean it up and put it in the fridge and take it out and cook it and clean that up. And, and all the time working to get more food. Then you got to poop and you pee, you got to clean that up. And it's like, I am over this eating thing. I am so over this. It's so hard.
Well, that's what happens when we move up in frequency. Food isn't as important to us as it used to be. Our
Yeah.
body doesn't need as much. And we talked about this earlier, and that we can survive on light,
Yeah.
sunlight, and light. And
Sunlight.
I told Michelle I could have been a breatharian 20
Yeah.
something years ago when I quit eating. I started out fasting, and it was not just drinking water after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends made me eat because I wasn't eating. I didn't want
Were
to
you
eat. I
getting a
was
little
fine.
thin?
Yeah, I lost, yeah, quite a few pounds. Well, I lost like 20 pounds or something, but it was probably the least I've, as an adult, though I weighed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I felt really good. I felt energetic. I didn't need hardly any sleep
Yeah.
at all. Um, and, but I understand that we're also here to enjoy pleasures. We're on the earth plane to enjoy
Yes.
pleasures, and moderation is always the key, right? That's what the masters teach us. But I also want to go back to plants. And you were talking about having a consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you read or heard about the book The Secret Life of Plants?
No, but I intuit. I've not heard of that,
Okay.
but I have intuited very much that plants have feelings too.
Yeah. Well, this man who actually invented the lie detector uh, decided to do an experiment,
And plants are liars.
and no, no, no,
And we shouldn't be eating their lying fibrous
no. The
beingness.
plants could tell when we were lying. The plant was the lie detector.
Oh, they're so sweet.
Actually, what he did was he put the what do you call them, the electrodes on the plants, and to see if they have a consciousness. And
Right.
he's a scientist, so he does stuff like that. And he was thinking about, to see if it felt what needed it, blah, blah, if it felt pain, I believe is what it is.
Right.
If there was a reaction, so he thought about burning a leaf, and the plant, just thinking about it and going and getting the lighter, the plants, the electrodes went off the charts, like it was
Yeah.
in, as if it was in fear, very
Yeah.
anxious and in fear. He lit the lighter and it went even higher. When he turned
Wow.
it off, it went back down. So it knew that he was going to harm the plant. The plant knew.
Yeah.
Also, um, so yeah, he said that changed his whole
Yeah.
way of looking at plants. And
Yeah.
also eggs.
Well,
What he did was put
yeah.
electrodes on eggs, and when he took an egg to drop it in boiling water, the other eggs would get very, very anxious and afraid and scared. And
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
no.
sorry. And but he did say, once you bless them and thank them, and if they know what is, and, thank you for providing sustenance for my body or something like that, and bless them and thank them, then they were fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Secret
am
Life of
never
Plants.
eating again. Never, ever, ever. You know, when I was young, I had what they used to label back then anorexia, right? I didn't want to eat.
Mm,
It was like food freaked me out. I have a horrible relationship with food. Might be why
mm,
I'm overweight. But it's like I just,
yeah.
and I think sometimes intuitively, maybe we know that that is the next step to where we can live on
Yeah.
the air and the water, and our digestive system, of course, would shift and change too.
Right. Because we're
We probably have
shifting.
avatar bodies who've already changed, actually.
I'm sure we have. I know I've changed. I can tell a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely. So also I wanted to mention something. I'm sure it was really profound too.
Did I interrupt you again?
No, no. I interrupted myself. We were talking about the plants and the eggs having consciousness. Um, oh, I think this is it. As we move up in frequency, um, no, that's not it. Go ahead.
Oh,
Maybe it'll
oh,
come. I'm waiting for it to come back around.
yeah. But yeah, this is really a good conversation because,
Hmm.
eating consciously and blessing your food, all of it, and being conscious that all is life, that we're all connected. The big thing right now, everybody talks about oneness. Well, that's part of the oneness. We're all part of it, all of it.
Yeah.
It's all life, no matter what it is. Plastic comes from the earth. It's part of the oneness.
Yeah.
right? Metals, everything, buildings, cars, everything are all made from Mother Earth, and it's all part of the oneness.
Right.
And it's so important that we understand that we have to get back to honoring life. We have to get back to honoring life, and life is everywhere and in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to bring about peace on earth. Big, big statement right there. But that's where it's going to come from
Yeah.
when we start doing that, and we can start paying more attention with how we're eating. What we're eating. What are you putting in your mouth? Are you blessing it? Are you
Mm-hmm.
blessing the water? Do you bless your water? I use these little dealios, to remind me. They're little stickers. Oop, that's just a Cathara grid, which is the 15th dimensional tree of life. It's the one that hasn't been kind of broken down. Kabbalah has some of the pieces missing, which is part of the fall
Mm.
that we've all gone through, which is why we're stuck in this wheel of karma thing. But this reminds me to bless the water. So every time, that I pick it
Mm-hmm.
up, it's just bless this water with love.
Yeah. Yeah. And um for and as we move up in frequency, and I think this is what I was trying to say before, we're going to be attracted to different foods.
Yeah.
It's just natural. And the heavier foods, the processed foods and things like that are not going to we won't be attracted to them anymore. So it's not that you have to give up something or anything like
Yeah.
that.
No.
It's just as we work on ourselves, and as you work, those watching, and move up with all of us, as we move up together, we start to things start to fall away that are no longer working for us because they're too heavy.
Yeah.
It's just too heavy, and
Yeah.
it's just too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. We won't need all that. We won't need that nutrition in the body either, because our body will be lighter and more crystalline, more liquid crystalline. We won't need that to feed that anymore.
Right. And so, exactly. The carnivore diet, I just want to talk about it real quick. So apparently there's been a big push. It's all about follow the money, right? This
Right.
this plant diet, natural plant diet and everything or natural plant diet was a big push to apparently, according to the theory, um, to make more money, to create consumerism in
Mhm.
in a plant diet. And if it's not one thing, it's another. Just
Yeah.
hey, let's start this fad. I can just see them all sitting around a boardroom. Well, here, let's try this. Make them eat a bunch of you know
Let's put the
let
ranchers out. They're not going with our agenda. So let's put the
uh-huh.
ranchers out of business. And
Uh-huh. Yeah, and see if we can get them to eat grass out of their backyard. Something like that.
the grazing diet, heard of it?
I mean, it's just so ludicrous. But I'm not saying that eating plants is ludicrous. Um, One thing about, and Michelle mentioned this, so we forgot to mention about the leafy greens, is there's some kind of an enzyme in it that is a toxin, has some
Mhm.
toxins to protect themselves.
From the bugs.
Plants do try to
Yeah.
protect themselves. Yeah.
And then we eat a great big giant leafy green salad, and we're ingesting, spinach and kale. Kale is like, I can't even eat kale. It gives me sores in my mouth
I
and
can't eat it
stomach
either.
ache. And
Yeah.
people are like, kale, 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 6-spoon ball. And I'm like, mm-mm. And it's like, oh, maybe that's it. And people are more sensitive. Some are more sensitive too.
Yeah. And that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Listen to our body. Listen to our body. We've been cut off from our bodies, actually,
Yeah. So
from having
much.
that intuition and that communication with our bodies. So listen to your body. Your body will tell you what works and what doesn't, always. As
And
long as you
also,
listen.
we're coming to understand that yes, we're all human and yes, we're all the same, but we have different lineages. And those lineages are connected to the star families and stuff. And we have different bodies, different needs, different things. And it's time for us to really get back to honoring each other in our differences too. Like I'm big on the keto thing. When I do keto, which is, protein, which I do eat meat. I don't want to, but I do, and I feel better when I do. A little bit of vegetables, a little bit of, berries, water, fats, natural fats. I feel really good. It works for me, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
The carnivore, I did carnivore for a while and I felt really good on it.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I felt very good, but I just got tired of eating meat. And then I started doing veggies, and then I had someone point out, well, now you're doing keto. It's like, oh, that's right. I am doing keto, right?
And you don't need a name for it. It's just a lifestyle.
No.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
And, 60, 70 years ago, we used to call that dinner. We used to just call that food
mm-hmm.
because we didn't have all these bazillions of options and boxes and cans and everything. You had meat and you had vegetables and you had fruits and you had fats,
Right.
and the
Right.
grocery
Yeah.
stores were a fifth of the size they are now. And you
Yeah.
had all things, a little bit of, flour and eggs and that kind of stuff to make bread that wasn't the mainstay of the meal.
Mm-hmm.
It was an extra.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the wheat thing, I can't do the wheat thing for me.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
just,
either.
yeah, it's really bad for me. Um, you were talking earlier about how the warriors would eat meat and they wouldn't be eating, salads. And there was a study that I saw during the Mongolian China wars that the Mongolian warriors only ate meat,
Yeah.
and the China warriors soldiers ate roots and vegetables along with their meat, and the Mongolians were a lot stronger and they actually won.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. It really is when you
it was a
look.
big difference. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think back to the time, and I've got a lot of Scottish in me too. I've got Native American, Scottish, and then some little sprinklings in there. But the old Scottish lords and the Northern England lords, they go to war and they come back, and the first thing they want a hunk of meat, to replenish they've done, to replenish electrolytes and food and protein and all that kind of, and food.
Mm-hmm.
But if that was what they wanted, that's what rebuilt them. That's what brought the strength back. And so we have to take a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But those are also animals in the wild eating their
Right.
natural diet,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Part of the problem is we've got cows that aren't eating grass. We got cows that are eating grains.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't produce the same thing.
And they have no quality of life.
And they have no quality of life.
A lot of the animals that are slaughtered
Yeah.
don't. So, and we're not trying to talk anybody into eating meat, but 'cause-
No, not at all. We're just
no,
sharing
we're
information.
just sharing information, and
And we don't know everything. Well, I do. Sharon
oh
doesn't.
yeah, that's true. So, it depends on the day. Like tomorrow, I'll know everything,
Yeah,
and then
next show she'll know
yeah,
everything.
right.
We swap.
But yeah, I mean, it's something that it's an important topic because we are what we eat.
Yeah.
Basically what we put into our bodies. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
And blessing it is going to make a difference to your body.
yeah. I think bottom line is pay attention to your body, pay attention to what your body is telling you it wants and needs, and get when you do put food in your body, anything in your body, well, bless it, and also make sure that it comes from a place that has a where it was humanely,
Yeah.
if it's an animal,
Yeah.
humanely slaughtered,
And
human, or not just
there are
slaughtered, but it had
places.
yeah,
Yeah.
a quality of life, and the plants too,
Yeah. Because a lot of
have a
them are
garden.
just grown in sheds with no real sun.
Yeah. The eggs too.
Eggs too.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true.
It goes on and
It's,
on and on.
I know it's crazy and industrialized everything. It goes through so many hands. And if you want to get really crazy with it, bless every single hand all the way down the line,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know who's touching your food,
Mm-hmm.
and what uber gooby energies and thought patterns they're putting on there. Oh, I'm never eating again.
Yeah, you should have told me a long time ago that our food is created to cause addictions to it.
And yeah, when a lot of that shifting
Yeah. Yeah.
that happened,
Right.
and even, when they start genetically modifying food, it doesn't feed us and it doesn't give us the nutrition. So we're eating more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing too, and that kept popping in my head and I kept forgetting to say it, is, there's this big, huge shame about being overweight.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, fat people, rah. But everybody's overweight now. And a lot of it is the toxicity, but the other part is we're eating more because our food doesn't have the nutrition.
Right.
And so
Totally.
we're eating more to try to get that nutrition.
Right. Yeah.
And taking supplements, you gotta be really careful about that too.
Yeah. Everything you put in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything that's being put in your body.
And when you start looking at labels, which is so important to do, it's like, what happened to food?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
but it's the awareness that'll bring us back to center.
That's part of being in 5D
Yeah.
is being aware of your everything that's energetic, being aware of energies and your body. Your body's an energy being,
Yeah.
and being aware of what your body is telling you and what your body
Yeah.
needs.
And also, your tongue is not your whole body, because my tongue is going ice cream 24/7. And this is not the
That's the
part of the
pleasure center.
body we listen
It's
to.
the pleasure center. Yes, I know. The pleasure center.
Right. This is where that, because I get sometimes where I don't want to eat because nothing tastes that good,
Yeah.
and yet I will still have this little whisper, yeah, but ice cream would be good.
Mhm.
I don't want cookies. I don't want chips. I don't want any of that stuff. Maybe a little bread and butter, but ice cream, it starts whispering in my ear. Ice cream.
Yeah, that creaminess. I'm a sucker
And
for
that
the
cool, especially in the summer.
cold, creamy stuff.
Yeah. And it's so weird. It's almost like my body shuts down and my tongue takes over. It's a battle. And it's that imbalance. And part of that is all the stuff that's in the food too.
That's the pleasure center.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So to how to avoid cravings, what I try to do, or no try. Yoda says no try, only do, is and I know this sounds silly, but meditate and go for that pleasure that way,
Another way.
that centering. Put on some music that makes me feel good or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? A couple minutes later, it's gone. That
Yes.
craving is gone.
Yes, that is definitely, because the craving only lasts, what did they say, 20 minutes or something like that?
If that,
Mhm.
yeah.
And there's also, I get glutamine and glutathione mixed up. I think it's glutamine. I've been using glutamine in my smoothies, and that helps a lot with the craving thing too.
Oh, does it?
Not that I'm a doctor recommending anything. I'm not a doctor. Check with your medical professional.
No, neither one of us are.
But
We only play one on TV.
you only play one on YouTube.
On YouTube. No, we are not.
No, at all. I'm just expressing what
Like we
I
have to tell
use
anybody that. Yeah.
that helps with that. I know it's funny we do, but we do. We got to do that.
We're not professionals when it comes to
At anything.
We're professional. We're professional.
Don't listen to a word we say.
Professional cut-ups. That's what we are. Okay.
We're hacks.
We
That's
love
all.
yeah. We love enjoying life, and that's what it's
Yeah.
all about anyway. like my
Absolutely.
EVP that I got from my guy. And so I said, do you have a message for me today? And I hear, yes, have fun.
Perfect.
Did you hear that EVP?
Perfect.
Did you ever hear that?
I think I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're
Have fun.
doing EV, I was like, oh, what is she talking about? But yes, because it's important.
Mhm.
That's what it's about. And that's part of the reason Sharon and I do this show. We're here every single week because we have so much fun. We sprinkle you with some stuff that we know. We share our experiences and stuff that we've heard. And then we go all goofy on you.
Yeah. And then we, right? Right. And sharing, it doesn't mean that we know it. It's what we found to work for us
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
And maybe different tomorrow.
Yeah. And it totally will be. I hope nobody takes any of this seriously because we're totally going to change it next week. No, but we can only share. That's life.
That's life, right?
And as we grow, we gain more information, we gain more knowledge, we gain more understanding. And 10 years from now, when we show up on the show, we're all little old ladies or very youthful beings because we found the technology for euthanating ourselves.
That's right.
I used to call it euthanasia, and that wasn't the right word.
No, that's not the right word. That's the total opposite. All righty.
Super fun, guys. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe, hit the little bell so you know when we're coming on. Next week, we are going to be, is it next week? No, next week, we're going to have Susan Redwine. Very interesting woman. And the week after that, we're going to be live.
Live, yes. Okay, cool. And she
And
had
also,
NDE, right?
she's going to talk about NDE and life and just being in the free flow of life. We're just going to let spirit guide.
Nice.
So that's when it gets really interesting. Oh yeah. And also I have to apologize ahead of time because I was so bad about calling Sharon Susan. And then Susan was telling me about how when I did an interview with her, I was calling her Sharon. So I'm apologizing ahead of time. I might have to give you guys nicknames like Skippy and Trigger or something.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't know what it is about that name, Susan and Sharon and Susan.
I'm the same way with Jennifer and Stephanie. I get those two names mixed up and I don't know what it is either. It's really weird.
It's all those syllables.
That's probably it. Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. We're done.
We
for
love
today.
you.
We do love you.
And I love you, Sharon, Susan, whatever your name is. Skippy.
I love you, Michelle, the Awakener.
And we love all of you guys. Have a great week and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Peace out.